That's bonkers. Thank God he didn't have a seatbelt on. I never say that. Thank God he didn't have a fucking seatbelt on, because if he did,
there's no way
he would be dead.
There's
Probably,
no way.
or fucking severe.
And Logan is a prick who is just trying to throw his money around and try and repair his rep.
Stand up. Stand up. Stand over here.
Why?
Stand over here. Let me see your hands.
Then 3 letters start floating around FBI and everything changes. Because even scrutiny without charges is a bomb in a social media war zone. And let me be clear, this is about questions, reviews, and examination, not verdicts. But the moment those letters appear, paranoia explodes. People start connecting dots that may not even belong on the same page. Old clips resurface. Screenshots get frozen in time. Narratives begin forming long before facts do, and the unease keeps growing, because high-profile names don't get looked at for nothing. Or do they? Some see accountability. Others see a trap. Then Turkey Alashik steps in talking about brain injury risk, and suddenly legacy fear enters the conversation, because Joshua's real power isn't just muscle, it's his mind. And if scans ever show anything long-term, the entire division shakes. That's the layer most people ignore while they hunt drama careers. Futures. Lives. Every hour without clarity feeds the beast that wants someone to blame anyone, even if the truth ends up being boring, brutal randomness. Media outlets start breaking down the truck details, and it all sounds straightforward, until you remember how many disasters started sounding simple. I'm not saying there's a cover-up, but I'm saying I've seen this movie where timelines stop lining up, something quietly disappears, and a casual post suddenly becomes exhibited at right now. Nothing is proven, but everything is being archived. And that should scare everyone involved, including the spectators who think this is just drama.
2 officials in Nigeria, they ran into a stationary truck while trying to change lanes on the roads. Just a horrific accident. You know, I don't want to start, assigning blame to something that I don't have the report for.
Seeing Joshua just hours before the crash laughing, alive, full of energy hits you straight in the chest. Because that's the clip that won't leave your head. That's the moment that keeps looping when everything else feels unreal. Now put that next to the detached reactions floating around online, and the contrast feels almost cruel. This is the point where fans stop being neutral and start choosing sides, not logically, but emotionally, because dignity under fire matters. And right now, Joshua embodies it. Others don't. They just look weird, and that word carries weight whether it's fair or not.
Rusak said, "This is an unbelievable loss. Sinna and Latif are 2 incredible people who were not only part of AJ's team, but also friends. My sincere condolences to their families, loved ones, and everyone who knew them. Anthony Joshua, wishing you a speedy recovery."
When fighters like Chris Eubank Jr. and Tony Bellew speak, it lands differently. Their words aren't performative, they're grounded, restrained, and real. Because they understand something most people online don't: the aftershocks last far longer than the headlines. That quiet solidarity exposes just how thin fake sympathy really looks. And I'm telling you, there are messages behind the scenes we haven't seen yet, conversations, screenshots, receipts, things that will eventually surface and completely reframe this story. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they're there. Now we're stuck in that unresolved space where police confirm the accident, investigations continue, and names remain under scrutiny, not judgment. And the boxing world is holding its breath. Because this can settle as tragedy, or explode into scandal. And if you think this story is finished, you're lying to yourself. Too many eyes are watching. Too many receipts are being checked. And all it takes is one new detail to flip heroes into villains overnight, so don't blink.
There for them and the family, anything they need. Sometimes when someone is a star, they have a lot of things in their life taken care of for them. So you really have to move into that mode in this situation as well. Make sure obviously they're getting the best medical attention, make sure their family are safe and happy.
The end of this story isn't just crazy, it's ugly, destructive, and potentially legacy breaking. Because if even half of what investigators are circling turns out to be real, the entire influencer boxing circus doesn't fade away, it detonates overnight, careers collapse, brands disappear, and people who once looked untouchable suddenly aren't. Now snap back with me, because just hours before anyone whispered FBI, before scrutiny, before dark questions, before the mood shifted, everything still looked normal: smiles, cameras, confidence. The illusion was still intact. And that's what makes what comes next.
Anthony Joshua injured in car accident. 2 people who I believe were with Anthony Joshua were friends of his have tragically passed away. Before I carry on reading the article, the 2 people who have tragically passed, my condolences is all I can say to their friends and families. We'll definitely offer up some prayers for them.
The shock hit first, and it hit violent, because the headlines didn't just say accident. They said tragedy with teeth. They said questions. They said timing that makes your skin crawl. And while Anthony Joshua is fighting through pain, scans, and grief, a different kind of noise started crawling across the internet. Whispers. Not accusations, gaps. The kind of gaps that can swallow careers whole, and you feel it, don't you? Because something feels off. Everyone senses it, even if nobody can explain it yet. Then Jake Paul posts, casual, loose, almost flippant, and the timing feels wrong. I'm staring at the screen thinking, asterisk, did he really choose now?
Sure, if there was someone in the stationary truck. I'm not sure about that, so I'm not going to report on that, but the truck was stationary. And Anthony Joshua's SUV struck the stationary.
And just when you think maybe it was only bad timing, Logan Paul posts too, and it lands wrong. Not criminal, not proof, not evidence, but wrong in a way that rattles instinct. Because the boxing world is in mourning, and these reactions feel detached, more like content than conscience. And I hate that my mind even goes here, but this is how every major scandal starts, with people saying, relax, you're overthinking. Until they weren't. Now officials are talking about stationary trucks, lane changes, and brutal randomness. Calm voices are saying, don't assign blame. Don't jump ahead of the reports. But the internet doesn't wait. And once curiosity collides with personalities built on ego, history, and beef, the temperature spikes. Because if this stays a tragic accident, fine. But if anyone hid something, lied, stalled, or played cute online, that's when chaos begins. Then the emotional wave hits harder, because real fighters speak. Alexander Usyk doesn't posture, he doesn't clout chase, he speaks like a man who understands how close death lives to champions. His words cut straight through the noise. With dignity and sorrow, and suddenly empathy becomes the measuring stick. Some reactions pass. Others feel hollow. And in the darkest moment possible, you start seeing the line clearly drawn between warriors and entertainers. If you want, next we can craft the final closing monologue that lands like a hammer.
The days where he could get seriously hurt. I don't believe Josh would have. I believe Josh might have some.
Joe Rogan's reaction slams the brakes on the circus. No speculation, no hype. Just reality. He walks people through how close Anthony Joshua came to never standing again, and suddenly the room goes quiet. Not awkward quiet. Heavy quiet. The kind where you feel the thin line between survival and catastrophe snap into focus. Everything pauses. Breathe. Then the tension creeps back in. Because when someone brushes that close to the edge, every detail around the moment gets re-examined under a colder, harsher light.
Joshua injured in car accident. 2 people who I believe were with Anthony Joshua were friends of his have tragically passed away. Before I carry on reading the article, the 2 people who have tragically passed, my condolences is all I can say to their friends and families. We'll definitely offer up some prayers for them.
Then Eddie Hearn steps in, and suddenly you see the difference between leadership and noise. While timelines spiral and arguments flood the feed, Joshua's camp goes quiet where it matters. Care is locked in. Privacy is protected. Families are supported. No theatrics. No clout. No performance. And that professionalism only sharpens the contrast. Because now this story isn't just about an accident anymore, it's about how people behave when grief is watching. And in that space, that dangerous silence between emotion and evidence, public opinion starts handing out verdicts before facts ever arrive. which is both terrifying and incredibly powerful.
Accident at 9:30 a.m. local time, 8:30 our time, involving two vehicles in which two people have died, and Anthony Joshua has received minor injuries and he's been taken to hospital. So eyewitnesses say Joshua was in a Lexus SUV with 3 other passengers, and he was involved in an accident in which that Lexus collided with a truck that was stationary at the time. And there are videos online of a shaken Joshua being taken out of the car. So local police have confirmed that Joshua has suffered minor injuries, but that 2 people have died in that accident.
Then the human cost detonates the next wave. It's confirmed that 2 of Joshua's closest friends are gone, and that's the moment this stops being content and becomes pain. Because now he isn't just healing ribs, scans, and bruises. He's carrying loss. Real loss. And any hint of opportunism around that doesn't feel careless anymore, it feels unforgivable. This is where patience snaps. Fans can forgive ignorance. They can forgive bad timing. They can even forgive mistakes, but they never forgive turning tragedy into content, and that is where this story truly changes.
Joshua, future heavyweight Hall of Famer, has been in a severe car accident which killed 2 people. He is severely injured. He's still alive. There's footage out there of people helping Anthony Joshua out the vehicle. We don't know the details of what happened, if they was in a car accident, if they was just swerving around and lost control. We don't know, but my condolences go out to those who lost their lives. Hopefully it was just, man, a terrible accident. And also, hopefully Anthony Joshua seeks the medical attention that he needs. Check the everything, the head, the scan everything, x-ray, MRI, because we don't know if that could be internal bleeding as well. Adrenaline is pumping and you may feel like you're not okay, but you got to check everything. But hopefully he heals well, and Godspeed. And again, my condolences go out to those that lost their lives.
What truly separates this moment is how the boxing world itself responded. When fighters like Alexander Usyk, Eddie Hearn, Tony Bellew, and Chris Eubank Jr. spoke, it didn't feel scripted or strategic. It felt real. It sounded like people who understand just how fragile life becomes once the gloves come off. Joe Rogan's reaction especially cut through the noise. He didn't chase drama, he chased reality. And that reality is simple but terrifying. Anthony Joshua could have lost everything in seconds. That kind of truth humbles even the loudest voices in the room at the same time. This is where speculation itself becomes dangerous. Fans want villains. They want answers. They want justice now. But investigations don't move on emotional timelines. And the moment the letters FBI appear, even if it's routine questioning, even if it's standard procedure, social media explodes. Narratives harden. Accusations form before facts ever arrive. And that's how things spiral unfairly. That's also why the Paul brothers are in such a fragile position right now. Their history makes silence and humility the smartest possible move, because every word they release is being weighed like evidence, whether it deserves to be or not. And at the center of all of this, my heart stays with Anthony Joshua and the families of the friends he lost. Because careers can recover. Reputations can be rebuilt. But lives don't reset. No amount of online chaos outweighs real grief. Whether this story ends as a tragic accident or something far more complicated, I hope truth, accountability, and compassion win out, because boxing already carries enough damage inside the ring without turning real-world pain into entertainment. What keeps hitting me the hardest is Joshua's silence. In an era where everyone rushes to post, spin, defend, and distract, he hasn't tried to control the narrative at all. And that restraint says more than 1,000 statements ever could. You can feel that he's processing real loss, not just an injury report. And when that's placed next to reactions that feel rushed, careless, or detached, it doesn't sit right. Not as a fan. Not as a human being watching another human break. To be clear, this isn't about guilt. Facts matter. Investigations exist for a reason. But public perception is a brutal, unforgiving beast, and in combat sports, it hardens fast. When your brand is built on controversy, shock value, and pushing lines, you don't get the benefit of the doubt when tragedy enters your orbit. That isn't fair, but it is real.